Hey everybody, you're listening to Sunny, the original diva of the WWE on InYourHeadOnline.com. This is the place to come for the real deal about wrestling, so make sure you visit us.
All right, we're back, and we are joined by Dr. Tom Prichard. Welcome to In Your Head.
Hey, thanks a lot for having me, guys.
Cool. That's
no problem.
Pleasure to have you here, man. Everybody know that you're going to be part of the big Capital Legends Fan Fest coming up in August?
Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to that. Greg Price is a guy I've known for years, and when he got in touch with me and told me about this deal on, it's actually, what is the date? August
11th through the 13th.
It's the second week of August. I knew that. I just didn't know the exact date, man. But,
right.
You know, especially being around Jim Cornette and Stan Lane again, it's always good to be around those guys, and I'm looking forward to it, man, especially being up around D.C.
Yeah, definitely. It's Rockville, Maryland. Everybody wants to check it out. It's CapitalLegends.com. If you go there, you can get good deals on. You can get good deals on the flight, get good deals on the hotel, and you can see all the guys. There's going to be 30 legends there. They've announced 26 so far.
You know what, man? And I got to tell you, I've been to a few of these legend shows before, and the coolest thing about it, not just seeing all the guys get together and some of the legends that I even grew up watching, but just the fans that go to these things are kind of like I was or still am as a fan, and that's the cool part about it, because everybody seems to appreciate, even if they're only 25 years old, they seem to appreciate what the old timers have done and the old school guys have done. So that's to me, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned being a wrestling fan. When you were younger, did you ever think, someday you'd be considered a legend?
No, I would only hope, but I was only had it in my mind. This was all I was going to do with my life, and if I became what I became, then so be it. But I just wanted to wrestle, and I'm just very fortunate that I was able to live as long as I did, because they had me pegged to die at 30, man. So I wasn't really living a real good life, but I had a good life to me. And there ain't no good life just in my life. There's a song in there somewhere, I guess.
Right.
But I'm just happy to. I guess my point is, I'm just happy to be invited to these legend things, man, because there's so many legends that I admire and respect and look up to that it gives me a chance to see these guys and talk to them again and be around them, which always kind of rejuvenates me.
Mm-hmm. I just turned 30, so
yeah,
I'm
dude,
still here.
I don't think you lived as hard as we did.
Yeah, no, I'm from the mean streets of Cape Cod.
Yeah, I've been to Cape Cod. Yeah, Tulane Inn. Whatever.
Yeah, you've probably been to the Melody Tent. I think I saw you there.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, definitely. You got a question for the board, Incher?
Hambone. Hambone is a question from a message.
Hambone.
He wants to know, where would you rank the Moondogs on the best tag team list?
Ooh, well, I got to tell you, from Memphis and that part of the country, they were in the top 5, man. But their matches sure didn't last long, and it wasn't a real long. You could do it for a couple months, but after that, you had to find something new. And all their matches consisted of was bringing chairs to the ring, and then it was a hardcore match before they termed it hardcore.
Mm-hmm.
But they would definitely be in the top 5 in West Tennessee anyway. They had a lot of action in their matches, man. But I don't know if they would have been able to go out like in New York and do that. Or maybe they could have. I don't know.
Right.
They were definitely one of the top 5 teams in Memphis.
Yeah. What team do you get remembered as the most?
What team?
Yeah, as the Heavenly Bodies, or do people remember you more as Body Dawn? As like when you go to these?
You know what, man? It's funny you should say that, because some people don't even know that I was one of the Body Donnas, and when they find out, they go, "Holy shit!" So, can I say shit?
Yeah, yeah.
It's internet, right?
Yeah, it's internet, you're right.
Anyway, sometimes it's the Body Donnas the Heavenly Bodies, because I'm living now in East Tennessee, and this is where Smoky Mountain had its greatest popularity, obviously, in Knoxville and Sevierville and Morristown. So I'd have to say it'd be more for the Heavenly Bodies, although a few people do remember that famous team of Skip and Zip.
Right. Did you enjoy doing that?
Hey, huh, Zip?
What was that?
I said, what a name, Zip, huh?
Right. I guess you probably never thought of yourself wrestling as the name Zip.
No, I didn't think of myself wrestling with a crew cut either, man. It's just not my deal.
Yeah, what was that like getting a haircut? Somebody, mentioned on a board, too, about that.
Yeah, well, you know what, man? I think it was just it was a way to let me know who the boss was. And it wasn't a real cool thing, man, but, I had to do what I had to do, so.
Right. Yeah, I got the long hair myself, but,
Yeah, dude, I mean, it covers my hair, it covers my ears. It's like something to hide behind, but. During that time, you could see my face and my eyes, and ooh, that was kind of scary. So, yeah.
Someone asked something about that. I think they, were asking, what do you think about some of the guys like nowadays? I guess like Kazarian lost his job at WWE because he wouldn't get a haircut, and the Naturals, they were supposed to get like a haircut, and I guess they wouldn't do it, and they might lose like their big push. Do you think, if like the promotion asked you to get a haircut, you should do it?
Well, here's what I think. You should. I learned. Let me back up for a second. I learned so much more when I stopped wrestling. I mean, I wish I would have known then what I know now. Of course, we all say that. But being in the office and listening to how talent is talked about and thought of really gave me a whole new perspective. I had an idea, but quite honestly, life is politics, man. It's all about playing the game, and not just wrestling. It's everywhere you go.
Right.
And if your employer asks you to get a haircut, or for instance wants you to wear something or not wear something, if he's paying you and you want to work there, then unless you own the company, I think you're obligated to follow their rules. Now, here's the deal. When I was asked to get my haircut, I was asked if I would like to get my haircut and go on to this team, and I said no. And the reply I got back was, well, I guess you don't want a job then, huh? Well, I thought about it. I said, sure. The haircut doesn't mean that much to me, but I can see where the guys wouldn't want to do it because too many guys have gotten their haircut, changed their look, and then tossed by the wayside. And I think the guys look too cookie cutter today anyway.
Yeah.
That's part of the problem, man. There's not a whole lot of individuality, and some people with that corporate mindset think you have to have professional wrestlers, with a nice clean cut haircut, look more corporate. That's a bunch of shit too. Right. But that was my. I'll give you just 3 guesses to who that impression was, and of course you don't count. Anyway, I think those guys have a right to stand up for what they believe, and if they don't want to do it, it's their right. But at the same time, if the promotion doesn't want to use them, then it's their right too, because it's their promotion.
Right. Yeah. I hear the dog bark in the background. Usually, everybody hears my dog in the background.
Dude, yeah, man, she's a little Chihuahua, and she's like really trying to.
No problem. Actually, I have a min pin, and most people think he's a Chihuahua.
Well, yeah, but this is a pretty cool dog. My wife brought her home, so.
Oh, okay, cool.
Good dog.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I wouldn't make fun of your dog. Another tag team that's going to be at the Fan Fest would be the Rock and Roll Express, and you definitely worked a lot with them in Smoky Mountain.
Yeah. You know what? I did, and as a matter of fact, I've known Ricky for over 20 years, Robert over 20 years. And you want to talk about legends. They have really, I think, solidified their legendary status. And what made me also realize, I was in Memphis when they started Rock and Roll Express. Then when they went to Louisiana, I believe I went to Oregon or somewhere. I don't remember. Anyway, I was going to say, Bill Watts talks in his book about Ricky and Robert, and they've always been a great team to work with and always been great guys, man. I'm looking forward to seeing them too. Actually, I'll see Ricky tomorrow night in Maryville, Tennessee. I'm actually wrestling him for the UWA in Alcoa, Tennessee, and so it should be fun though. We'll get to Maryland as well.
Is that a team you think some of the younger guys could learn something if they watched tapes of the Rock and Roll Express?
Yeah, but you know what? Here's the deal. Here's my feeling on tapes as well, and because a lot of guys don't understand the purpose of watching old tapes, not just to watch to be a fan, but watch the psychology and steal some of the moves. Even if you watch 100 tapes and don't get anything out of it, if you watch 101 tapes and find one move, then you've accomplished something. Or you watch the psychology. Watch how a guy like Ricky Morton, who was not a giant, and it was a different time in the business, it was a different day, but still he knew how to emote that feeling like he's being hurt, and the people at that time, he had something that connected. And selling is an art form, whether you're selling what you're doing or selling what's being done to you. And Ricky was, I think, the best at it for his time and era. But if young guys would watch tapes and watch Ricky Morton and watch some of these guys who got over, like a Steamboat, a young Ricky Steamboat as well, it was all about not acting but reacting. And that's what is missing today, in my opinion, is there's too much acting and too much script that you have to remember instead of going out there and feeling it and having the passion in your promos and interviews that made it so real instead of trying to pretend to be something you're not.
Right. Do you think that's a problem with the promos? Do you think that's a problem that someone writes promos for people?
I do, because too many times I believe, unless you have stroke like Rock or Austin had, or Hunter, too many times I think that the writers who came to WWE in the last, I'll go as far as 6 to 8 years, have tried to write things for guys because they felt this was the way they saw the character going, they saw this person going. In the old days, it used to be hit this point and be who you are. That's what got guys over. It was real. It was coming from inside instead of trying to remember a line or dialogue. Say what you have to say and do your deal. Dusty Rhodes was excellent. That's how he got over the American Dream, by being Dusty and not being somebody who, not being manufactured.
Yeah.
I think too many guys are being now.
Right, you can really have the same guy write the promos for like a Flair and a Dusty Rhodes. You think they would have to come from from themselves. They'd have to put their own character into it.
Yeah, because not necessarily it's their own character, but it's their personality. I mean, they just turn the volume up to 10. I mean, Ric Flair is Ric Flair. He's the 16-time world champion. Mm-hmm. He believes it. He believes it. When he walks down the aisle, he makes you believe it. When he talks, I don't know if they're scripting everything for him these days. I mean, I don't know what the deal is, but that's who he is. Mick Foley is doing his own promos. That's Mick. But that's why he's so good, is because he knows who Mick Foley is. Right. Too many times I think today the guys are trying to emulate something they're not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's been the highlight actually of Raw lately, was the Mick Foley promos.
Yeah, I do too, because it's real and it's Mick getting some of that pent up frustration that he felt towards Flair, which he's working, but at the same time, is he really working?
Right.
Yeah, that's something that I wish. When I grew up, I idolized the Funks, and Terry Funk especially is one of those guys that you never knew when he was being Terry and when he was not being Terry. I mean, he was Terry, and when I say Terry, I mean that wild, crazy, off-the-handle son of a gun that'll knock your head off in a heartbeat. He's like that, he was the flip of a switch, man. He's, he said something one time and goes, well, maybe I'll say it, and it's a shoot, or is it? or it isn't. Yeah, but he talks in those riddles, and it means something because he gets so worked up, he believes it, and then if you don't get out of his way, I guarantee he'll run you over.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I got you. You got another question for the board, Incher?
Norton Rad, he wants to know who the stiffest worker you ever wrestled was.
Ooh, I don't know, man. The stiffest worker.
Is it a big list?
Yeah, there's been a few, man. There's been a few stiff ones, but I think I was trained by the Iron Sheik, and he stretched the living hell out of me for like 4 months. And then I got in the ring with him, and he was a lot lighter. So, you know what? I really can't put my finger on any one guy.
Mm-hmm. We had the Iron Sheik on here a few weeks ago.
Isn't it great?
Well, I asked him one question, and that was the end of the interview.
Yeah, that's all you had to do, man. Just wind him up, and I tell you, I can't believe, and blah, this fellow's the whole comment. Yeah, I know, the whole thing, man. Yeah.
I think we were joined now by Barbie Richards. Do you have a question for Tom Prichard?
Oh, man, we're talking to Tom Prichard?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
That rocks.
This is our other co-host. He, we start the show at 6, and he shows up at 7, basically.
You know what? That's it's all good, man. It's all good. Yeah.
You were talking earlier, a lot of people didn't think you'd make it to 30.
Yeah.
So what do you think about the wellness program? Do you think it's something that that's good for wrestling?
Well, I do. It's something that I'm glad that finally, if it is what it is, because I understand a lot of guys are being suspended, and there's been a few guys with high enzyme levels in their liver. I think it's a good thing if they catch little things like heart murmurs and want to be fair with everybody, because obviously, if it's for the health of the guys, I think it's great. Because obviously, when I was starting, and a lot of the older guys were starting, not everybody, but I mean, we partied pretty hard. We traveled in a car and going up and down the road, smoking, drinking, popping, doing anything we could, and it was just a way of life. And a lot of guys did die from it. I mean, come on, Eric's. Not all of them died from a drug overdose, but I mean, Eddie Gilbert, Rick Rude, guys that I partied with and hung out with. That was a lifestyle back then. And some of us were lucky enough to get a break from it, and others didn't. So I think if the wellness program is set out on an even playing field and does what it says it's going to do, then yeah, it's good for the guys. We'll see how it's good for business, and then see where it goes from there. But for the most part, I do think it's good, because if they would have had it back before Eddie passed away, somebody could have told him that he had issues with his heart.
Right.
Maybe they could have done something about it. I don't know.
You mentioned some of the guys that you actually partied with, and they passed away. Did any of those things ever scare you to try to clean up?
You know what, man? That's the crazy thing about being so wrapped up in drug addiction. I don't want to go on a rant here, but you hear about guys, and I remember when Eddie Gilbert passed away. I heard about it. Jeff Jarrett told me in an airport, and Ken Lane found him in Puerto Rico. Well, I partied with Eddie, and it just never occurred to me to stop. Gino Hernandez in Texas, we were never close friends, but I partied with Gino, and it just never occurred to me to stop. I didn't care back then. I'll be honest with you. I really had an attitude. If I died tonight, it was okay. I mean, that's a sick way of looking at things. But then all of a sudden, in 2001, I got sent to rehab. I got sent to clean up because I was just out of my mind. And 2 weeks later, Eddie got sent there too. So we kind of went through it together during the summer of 2001. And even then, man, we came out, we messed up again. He messed up twice and got fired. Mm-hmm. That's just there are people who don't understand, and people who are not drug addicts don't understand that it really is a disease. They just say, no, you're just making these choices. Well, yeah, but even though we know we're going to screw up, and we know we'll ruin all our lives, but sometimes we can't look at that. We're programmed, we're wired differently. Mm-hmm. And when everybody died or all these people passed away, even Chris Candido, who passed away from a blood clot due to a freak thing like a broken leg, man. Right. I mean, things like that you just look at and say, here's a guy who's cleaning up his act and getting his stuff together. You I have a real weird way of looking at stuff. I just figure when it's time, it's time. And
Right.
I'm here for some reason. I don't know why, man. But I'll tell you, anybody who knew me during the 80s and 90s knew that there were days and nights when they were the things going to work out. I'm not proud of it, man. I'm really not proud of it, but it's the truth, and you got to face it. That's part of being sober. You've got to look at things and see how you mess things up, and remember that so you don't do it again.
You actually mentioned if it's going to be good for business. Do you think if the guys start getting smaller, do you think it will hurt business? We had DDP on here, and he said it's not good for business if like everybody would get off steroids, basically.
Right, because see, then you don't become larger than life, and you don't look like the above average bear. Nobody wants to pay to go see their next door neighbor. They want to see people, and they want to see guys who look different.
Mm-hmm.
They're athletes. They want to see extraordinary people. So, I think DP has a point about maybe not being good for business, and we'll see where that leads. Will the wellness programs quietly go away, and we'll start seeing the guys grow again, or will we? Will they hold fast to it? I don't know. I mean, Vince is going to be 61 next month, and I think he's got a lot to look back on. He's already made more money he can ever spend, so I think now he's just a workaholic. This is all he does. What's left for him to accomplish? He's got to find some challenge. He can't just sit idle. It's not him.
Right.
So will he find a challenge to make this wellness program work and make the guys draw without taking roids, without doing all the other bullshit? I mean, don't know. If it's bad for business, if it starts really dropping, which I think there's a lot more stuff that's worse for business than that, than the wellness program, and I think the morale issue is something you need to address, and you have people in talent relations who need to understand how to relate to talent. That would be a lot better than just coming down hard on the guys. Try and help them through this.
Yeah, I got you. You want to mention any names about anybody in talent relations?
Oh no, not me, man.
Most people know what you're talking about.
Sure. Yeah, I don't mention names.
Yeah, be like Kelly's boyfriend, I guess.
No, what is this? Her boyfriend? You mean Mike Knox? Oh.
Yeah.
Mike Knox.
Anyway, never mind. No, yeah, Mike Knox, sure. Yeah, okay. Yeah, Mike Knox, yeah, go out there, man. That's good. I don't know if you ever talked to him or not, but that's awesome.
No, I haven't never talked to him.
Never even heard him on a promo, right? He carries a nice flat. Yeah.
He used to be a hell of a skateboarder.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding, and a nice mullet. But anyway.
Any question from the board, Incher?
Rick Rude's mustache. He wants to know whatever happened to Jimmy Del Rey.
I believe Jimmy's in Florida. He had some knee operations, and I think he's in Florida just hanging out, man. His wife has a good job, and I knew he was doing some stuff with Steve Kearns a few years back, but I think he broke away from that, and I haven't talked to Jimmy in years, man. But last I heard, he was in Florida and just enjoying his life.
Did you ever look at him and just like the Gigolo name suited him perfectly?
Well, if you knew Jimmy, he thought it did, and so I mean, it kind of
actually.
Yeah, he thought he was a gigolo, and there were times you'd look at him and you'd be in the bar with two other guys, and there were four girls going, "What are you not doing wrong?" So I mean, he did his thing sometimes. So, but we were I said it before. Jimmy and I we were two different people, and I thought we worked pretty good in the ring. But when we got out of the ring and we went our separate ways, that was the best thing for us to do.
Yeah. Of course, you mentioned before about Jim Cornette. Most people here in our chat room, they like to hear any kind of funny road stories you'd happen to have with Jim Cornette.
Wow.
Or with anyone.
Well, yeah. You see, Jimmy is one of those guys, man, that every road trip is a great story with him. So because he's just so animated, and he doesn't like to wait for food. If it's fast food, he wants it done fast, and he wants it right. And you don't understand that those people aren't there to wait on him alone, and he thinks they are. But Jimmy, I don't know, man. I don't know if you guys have heard the one about going through the or drive-through, and he orders.
I think I have.
Yeah, man, it was on tape, but I've been with him on stuff like that. I wasn't there on that particular time when they taped it. I think Ron Head taped it with J.R. Benson and some of the guys coming back from Smoky Mountain. But I've been with him when we've ordered a lot of food, and we get up there, and the lady's looking incredulously at us, thinking we were ribbing, and Jimmy go off on her. That's just Cornette. I mean, he is who he is. He is not a character. He is 24/7. He loves the wrestling business. He thinks it's a crime against humanity of what's been done to it. He's outspoken about it. But God, man, I have no really good ones because they're all probably involved. I think the statute of limitations is still.
Right. You think it was bad for OVW once Cornette left?
You think what?
You think it was bad for what?
He's still there.
Well, no, he's still there, but he's not. He's not involved on camera.
Oh, okay.
He's a part owner of OVW, but
right.
He can't be involved in the WWE.
Right.
I think here's the thing. Once again, OVW to me was perfect, and it still is. It's perfect in a sense that when Jimmy was running it and Danny Davis was doing it hands-on, they had an old building in Jeffersonville, Indiana, which was just a really crappy, just sweatbox hellhole. You really got to weed out the guys who wanted to be there, who really loved this business. And they have a beautiful arena now. It's great. But Jim came from the Bill Watts School of Wrestling, and sometimes you learn when people get in your face, or you get people who are passionate about what they want you to project and emote to the people. And Jim was like that. Well, again, some people in higher place felt that you had to empower these guys, and you can't yell at people. And I don't agree with yelling at people. I have a different way of doing things too. But Jim had his way of motivating guys, and he also knew his stuff. He knew what he could tell you and how to get it across to the people where it would get the talent over. I think it was bad for OVW, but Jimmy was getting burned out, man, and because he was so passionate about his product and so passionate about everything going smooth, but he was having a fit every Wednesday night. So I mean, it was. I think it was unfortunate. I think it's still unfortunate that he can't impart some of his wisdom for the many years he has in the business for those guys.
Right. What about when Paul Heyman was there? Do you think that he was a good guy to teach people, before they went to WWE?
Well, now, Paul is a great motivator as well. He just does it, again, in a different way. Paul is the guy that will tell you how to do something, and he knows how to push the right buttons to get what he needs. Paul is very, very good at hiding talent weakness, and he knows how to accent the strength. That was his biggest strength himself in ECW. But Paul also took OVW TV to a complete different level. I think he did a great job. I saw some of the shows he did, and I think the talent really enjoyed it because Paul, again, is an upbeat guy. He gives team meetings. He motivates guys. Cornette motivated you in a different way, and it was the same effect, but two different methods.
Right. You think both guys should have more creative control in wrestling, wherever they are?
Well, you know what? Here's the problem with that. I think they should. I like it, but again, what I have to remember all the time I say that is WWE is not a wrestling company. It is an entertainment company.
Right.
And Vince is not trying to appeal to wrestling fans alone. He knows they're going to come either way. He's trying to get the casual watchers out there. He knows that kids are going to flip around, 14, 15-year-old kids or whatever, and see the hot chicks on TV. He's trying to get that demographic. He's trying to bring the masses in. He's not worried about the hardcore. So with Jim and Paul, I know where Jim would go with it. He wants professional wrestling with excitement and danger and mystery to it. And I like that part. Mm-hmm. Paul wants excitement, danger, and entertainment and more ECW-ish type style. And Paul likes to go out on an edge and really push it. You need to find that happy medium with Vince and WWE, because they're not just professional wrestling. In fact, they are not even professional wrestling. They are sports entertainment. And so, I mean, I wish both guys had more creative control, but it wouldn't do any good because
right.
the house is probably the same, yeah.
Yeah. I think my grandfather used to have a saying about that. I can't remember at the time, but you got a question from the message board, intro? That was a good story. I went nowhere.
Yeah, that is an awesome story. Gary Mouther, he wants to know, were there ever plans of teaming you with Chris Candido in ECW?
No, I don't think so, man. We worked one time in ECW. We wrestled one time. It was after I was already training guys, and I don't think there was ever a plan to put us together. And by that time, too, I'll be honest with you, I enjoyed wrestling Chris. I enjoyed working with Chris. But the business, working in the ring, wasn't as fun anymore. I was getting hurt, man, and I was feeling every bump. And I was ready to take a break. So I don't believe that was ever in the plan.
Mm. Hey, you did a lot of stuff, when you wrestled. But what do you think about when you see some of the guys now doing so many dives outside the ring and so many bumps? As you were saying, by that time in your career, you were really feeling the bumps and you were getting hurt more. You think these guys?
Yeah.
Do you think they take too many bumps now when they get to be your age? Do you think they're going to be in a lot worse shape?
Well, yeah, I do. But once again, here's where we run into that problem. You have to give the people excitement. Mm-hmm. You do. A couple of years ago, WWE wanting the guys to tone it down. You have to remember, and go back to saying it's about selling. If you do all these moves, and nobody sells them, and then you beat the guy with a small package or a roll-up, then where is the pop there? What are you trying to really work for? You can still put excitement in your matches and tell a story and have charisma and do those moves when they mean something. Instead of doing them for the sake of doing them every time, do it when it means something, and then it'll mean even more. But the people have gotten so conditioned to seeing all this stuff, it's a hard thing to do, to go backward and then have the guys try and wrestle again, which is what WWE actually did try and do. Mm-hmm. And, then eventually they got away from it. But, yeah, I think it's going to really wear and tear on the guys' bodies. We've seen neck injuries and neck surgeries and things like that. I mean, and careers ended. So, I never took those crazy bumps, man, but just from what I did take, I feel it every day. And those guys are going to feel it too. But you know what? They're doing it now, and I think they would regret if they didn't do it. So, that's a double-edged sword, man. They should do it, but do it at the right time. At the same time, they know they have to entertain, to keep their spot, and they have to get noticed, and it's hard to do.
Yeah. When you were a talent scout, what kind of attributes did you look for?
I looked for guys who could work, number one, and I also tried to get their attitude, try and gauge how they approached not just the business, but just approached everything. And I looked at size, but I looked mainly at talent to see how they could fit in. Where would they fit in WWE? Mike Mondo, who the Spirit Squad, Mikey.
Uh-huh.
We've been trying for years. He moved to OVW on his own dime, man, and just to get in the beginner's class, to get looked at. And we kept looking at him, and he moved up, and he didn't have a contract, but Cornette used him on OVW TV because he was talent. Well, once again, somebody in general relations could say that Martin will never be in WWE. Well, okay. See, that's another thing. Never say never. And there's other guys that were looked at and not given the opportunity until now, when all of a sudden they go, yeah, well, maybe we should look at this guy. So I looked at talent first, see where it could be used, and I didn't worry about it. They were 6'1", 250 pounds. I mean, yeah, they had to get in the gym, and yeah, they had to look the part, but you know what, man? Eddie Guerrero was like 5'7", 5'8". Chris Benoit, same thing. Mm-hmm. Rey Mysterio, come on, man. Don't tell me size is the only thing you're going to look at, because that is as stupid and ludicrous as I've ever heard.
Right. Yeah.
So I looked at talent first, I looked at attitude, and then I went back and made my report. So.
Do you miss doing that?
You know, I do sometimes, but at the same time, it's not the same business that I grew up in, and when I was doing it under JR came from the old school too, and I think that was probably part of his problem, because he understood talent, and he gave people a chance. You know, you get tired of trying to find new talent and trying to find talent that deserves a shot, and then not ever having them get a shot. Bobby Roode's a guy who I will always, to this day, say should have had a shot years ago. I'm glad TNA's given him an opportunity.
Yeah.
So Steve Bradley, another guy up in, I think it's Maine or Massachusetts, who, man, talent everywhere, could do anything he wanted and change his body, change his attitude, change everything. And still, whatever the reason was, there were people who didn't feel like giving him a chance. So Steve just got fed up, and he opened up his own school and organization up in Mass. Mm-hmm. I do miss scouting talent, but I do it still today. Some of the independent scenes, and if people ask my opinion, I give it to them, and sometimes I do it unsolicited, but not all the time, because everybody's a pro here. They know everything. They knew a guy who knew a guy who knew a girl whose mother used to date this guy. His uncle worked the balcony in the Mets game, but he met QJ Strongbow in Georgia once with the Cracker Barrel. So,
right.
Yeah.
He's on next week. Everybody know that. Tune into the show. That guy's on next week.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure he is. I'll tune in.
You got another question from the board, Incher?
Hambone, he wants to know, how often do marks ask you what kind of doctor you are, then giggle like the first jackass to ever ask you?
How come you repeat that question, please?
How often do marks ask you what kind of a doctor you are, and then giggle like they're the first jackass to ask you that?
Oh, wow, man. You know what? Surprisingly, I haven't got that, lately anyway. And usually when they ask me, I tell them I was I could have been a doctor, but I got thrown out for spending too much time in the pharmacy. So, or the old gynecologist thing, man, but nobody asks me anymore. I don't think anybody cares anymore.
Well, you could have been your own best client if you were a doctor. You got another question from the board, Incher?
Let's see here.
My dog here is bothering me. Sorry.
They're all pretty silly from here on, but anyhow.
You mean they're all pretty from here on, I see.
Right. Unlike that last one.
Yeah, really.
Glad we got the serious one out of the way. Yeah.
Have you ever thought about opening up your own wrestling school?
I did it last summer, man, but once again, I tell you, around here in East Tennessee, the disheartening part about it is anybody can get a ring, get a pair of boots, and run a show. And that's what I found. I had one in Maynardville, Tennessee, and I had started out with 3 guys, worked it up to 15 guys, and then come to find out after 2 weeks, they'd go and I'd learn they'd be wrestling down in Jacksboro, Tennessee, and man, it never ends. So you got to put up with that around here, and it's just not. It wasn't worth it last summer. Now I've got other things on my plate, so to speak.
Now that Cornette's in TNA, or even before, have you ever had any talks working there in any kind of position?
Well, I did a tryout for TNA for the backstage interviewer, but obviously that didn't pan out. So, once again, it's one of those things that, it would have been great, but man, the business is the way it is these days, and I'm not, being a backstage interviewer or commentator, whatever that is. I've tried that before, done it before, and it really takes a special talent. Quite honestly, I don't know that I have that special talent. I had great guys carrying me, like Kevin Kelly and Michael Cole and stuff like that. But I tried out, and they said, "Yeah, we like it. We'll get back with you." And guess what? I'm still waiting for the phone call. Yeah.
We can always use Phil and co-host here for when Barbie doesn't show up.
Right.
We don't pay anything, but
I was gonna say, yeah, that's good.
You can get an in your head T-shirt. But
Right, yeah.
All right. When you mentioned Bobby Roode, we've had other people come on here, and a lot of the older school guys, they like him because they say that he's an old school worker.
Yeah, but that he's an old school worker, which means he understands psychology, he knows how to sell, he understands how to register, and he can emote what he's doing. He has those subtleties about him, and he's only getting better. I'm kind of glad WWE didn't take him now, to be honest with you, because they just would have wasted him. But I've always thought he was talent, and I've always thought he's going to be something. And I think he will be, because he's got size, and he's got a great, So I think he's going to be a force.
You think that was a good idea? I don't know if you watched TNA?
You know what, man, I've got it on TiVo, but I haven't had a chance to catch up in the last couple of weeks, so.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll say they broke up Team Canada, so I didn't know if.
Oh, no, I did know that. I didn't know they broke up. I know Rude was going to go off by herself, which I was glad to see too.
All right. Brad Dykins from ObsessedWithWrestling.com. He sent in a question. He wanted to know what would you say the top 5 things TNA needs to do to compete with WWE?
Well, the problem is you can't compete with WWE, and here's why. And I'm sure you guys have heard this before. WWE is up in the media capital of the world, the media center of the world, New York City, in offices in Stamford, Connecticut. They can get anything they want accomplished, press releases, the media publicity, all that stuff. And TNA, while they have some good talent, they don't have the same production values. They don't have a lot of the intangibles that WWE does. Now, one thing TNA does have is Dave Sahadi, who is excellent in making packages and promo stuff and doing what he does. But the other thing is, Vince lives his business. He does this 24/7, and you are not going to beat Vince. And if you do, I guarantee you, it won't be for long.
Right.
I would love to see TNA be a viable force, but you're not going to do it in Orlando.
Do you think that's even just a mistake to even think that you want to compete with WWE? Maybe you should just worry about doing just being successful on your own.
No, I don't think it's a mistake to have that ambition. And I'll be honest with you, a lot of people didn't give TNA 4 months, much less 4 years. I didn't.
Oh,
I didn't think it was. But they surprised everyone. So the thing is, there's no such thing as a bottomless pit. They have to produce. They have to make money. And their talent pool, is tremendous. They got some great workers in there. But as soon as they get some great workers who aren't under contract, guess who's going to snatch them away?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. Shannon Moore was working there without a contract, man. And that's just, again, that's how, I guess, the business is done. Corporate business is done. Not necessarily to help yours, but to hurt theirs. So, I don't see anybody, real quick, I don't see anybody being able to compete with Vince at this time.
If you would build the company around one guy there, who do you think they should pick? To me, it would be Samoa Joe, because you were talking earlier about like cookie cutter guys, and I think he just has a completely different look than WWE, and he's really over there.
Yeah, and here again, Samoa Joe is a guy who, yeah, he's over, and I've seen a few of his matches and stuff, but he doesn't look the part. He doesn't look like he looks like an average guy, a big average guy, and that's the only thing that kills him. I think what you really need is a guy who looks the part, and that's taking nothing away from Joe, because I mean I have no one to talk,
right?
But just from a business standpoint, I would want somebody like an Austin who's in shape, and Joe is a tough guy, can come across like that, but he's got to look the part. It's got to be a whole package, man. I mean, it can't just be the work. To me, it's got to be everything. He's a good guy to start with to build the company around. And again, I'll go out on a limb and say Bobby Roode as one of your guys who, if you give him a chance and let him grow as a heel, see what he can do. Build it around. You need a baby face, and you need a whole package, actually.
Yeah.
These days, especially.
Someone here in our chat room, Jobber to the Stars, he wants to know your favorite rib story.
Ooh.
Yes, that everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, my favorite rib story?
Right.
Well, I won't mention, again, I won't mention names, and I can't, but this was a guy who came in and felt that he was already on par with everybody else, and I don't know, you guys may have heard this or not, but there was a certain guy who had a sandwich, and if I wouldn't have seen it with my own eyes, I would have thought it was a rib, bullshit. But it wasn't. I saw it with my own eyes, and it had vinegar and onions and everything stinky on it anyway. So they just added a few dribbles of pea in there. And it's bad, yeah, it's bad. But this guy was kind of like a real loudmouth and didn't understand. And I told him, man, you need to chill because these guys will eat you alive. And he didn't get it. So they took his sandwich, kept it from him for a little while. He was on crutches, actually, so he couldn't get around. And finally, somebody brought the sandwich back to him, and we watched him eat it, bite for bite. So that was, to me, the best ribs are the ones that the guys, know just amongst themselves, and the guy I think is so smart.
Did he ever find out?
No, I don't think so. I do not believe so. But,
I don't know if that speaks highly of wherever he was buying that sub.
No, but he had a Subway with everything on it, man. It was like stinking anyway, so I think a little more wouldn't hurt. Yeah.
Anything you want to tell your fans why they should come to see you at the Capital Legends Fan Fest?
Yeah, please, man. I'd love to see everybody, and especially sitting with Stan and Jimmy, man. It's going to be a great time. And like you said, Rock and Roll Express is going to be there, and over 30 legends, I think Greg said. So I'd love to see everybody, man, and come and say hello.
Cool. We really appreciate you coming on here today.
Hey, thank you guys for having me, man. It's always a pleasure.
This is Jim Cornette. You're listening to InYourHeadOnline.com, and you made the right choice.